welcome to the evening news for today, Tuesday, June 28, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Misleading news sparks violent protests along East Coast Demerara as calls for justice for QUINDON BACCHUS intensify. REPOS vendors to be fully compensated for destruction caused by protesters. City Hall to be completely restored by mid-2023. Ramps retreats from discrimination claim after warned of fine for submitting misleading info. 4 Caribbean countries to use Guyana's expertise in HIV/AIDS treatment, and Health Ministry to procure COVID vaccines for children 6 months to 4 years old. Now for the news in detail. After a controversial Facebook page inaccurately posted that the policeman who had caused the death of 23-year-old QUINDON BACCHUS was released from police custody, scores of persons took to the streets of Golden Grove, East Coast Demerara in violent protests. The group of protesters quickly grew and spread to the lower East Coast villages where further destruction ensued. Here is Jarrell O'Brien with our lead story tonight.
Who was shot by ranks of the Guyana Police Force.
Protests at Golden Grove on the east coast of Demerara on Tuesday. The protests had spread to other communities along the East Coast corridor, but in some communities like Lusignan, police were successful in clearing the roads. Over in REPOS, looters wreaked havoc as they destroyed stalls and burned vehicles of the vendors there. The protest started after a controversial social media page operating under the guise of a news agency posted that the policeman on the investigation for the death of 23-year-old QUINDON BACCHUS was released from police custody. However, the Guyana Police Force has since contended that this is untrue and that the suspect is under open arrest and confined to the Guyana Police Force's headquarters. BACCHUS, a father of one of Golden Grove, East Coast Demerara, was allegedly shot 6 times about his body following an encounter with police ranks on June the 10th. Lynessa Semple, a cousin of the now dead man, had told this newscast that BACCHUS was murdered by his friend, the cop, and she refuted all claims that her cousin had discharged multiple shots at the police. President Dr. Irfan Ali has since gone on the ground where he met with disgruntled protesters.
The young man will get killed in my family, right? And I never see her come to these courts just this young man here alone. But one thing I want to say, I need justice in my family.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
All right, and I respect you for that. I don't talk.
No, listen, I want you here too. Communication is two-way.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? The minister reached out.
Yeah.
I went out to some meetings.
Yeah.
Okay? I cannot intervene in an independent investigation.
That's true.
We said it very clear.
Yeah.
That the police also said it. That the police complaint authority is supervising the investigation.
Yeah, that's true.
I called this morning the commissioner, I called the chairman. They assured me that the report will be finished early next week, hopefully on Monday.
I'll be honest with you, right?
No, but you gotta wait until the report finishes.
Yeah, other cases happen and you don't have to wait so long to report.
Here now, let us give them until Monday to finish the report. I can't instruct an independent body to finish reporting.
Okay.
And then you will see what the outcome is.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
Like you, I want justice.
Yeah.
I want justice for every guy.
Yeah.
I want justice for those people who are beaten also.
Well, let me be honest with you, right? Me no, that I don't go for that time.
No, and I agree with you.
Right? I put a line to it.
So that is why I came out here.
I left work half day.
Let me be straight with you. Let me be straight with you. I came out here because I don't want this to escalate. Because there are people in the society who want it to escalate.
Yeah, straight.
There are the intellectual authors, you're the family.
Yeah.
You know there are intellectual authors who are trying to use that for other gains.
I don't want that for this, right? I tell you this is the broadcast the whole world that the man was free.
Yes.
But and it's a lie.
Right? This is going to phone and we show it on my phone.
Where's the headline?
Right?
The news agency that put that out this morning.
What's the meaning?
One time. No,
can you give me a meaning?
Last night.
Hold, let me finish. The news agency put the thing out today apologizing that their information was wrong. Yes, their information was wrong. They were misled. But we gotta face the consequences.
Yeah, that's true.
Police, what's going on?
Right? We gotta face the consequences. The men are still under arrest.
The Guyana Press Association has since issued a statement where it cautioned against the use of social media platforms claiming to function as independent news organizations, particularly in the face of unrest and instability. The GPA said, and I quote, "We do not consider an entity describing itself as Guyana Daily News as consistently meeting the basic standards expected of a professional news organization. This is based on repeated instances in which its content has proven to be unreliable, unverified, and unethically intended to mislead media audiences." The entity involved has since apologized for issuing inaccurate information. The entity has also announced that the person who was running the operation has since been terminated with immediate effect. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
When the protesters began to escalate, President Dr. Irfan Ali, in a live video on his social media page this morning, urged residents to get off the road and allow the institutions to work. He made these remarks moments after he was informed of the developments on the east coast of Demerara before he went out onto the streets to meet with those affected. President Ali also had a message for those persons who made a threat against his life. Here's what he had to say.
Based on the laws, and in order to ensure an impartial investigation, the necessary sections of the Constitution that provides for the Police Complaint Authority to supervise an investigation in conjunction with the OPR must kick in. I'm advised that that process has commenced and that process has made tremendous progress. I'm further advised that very early in the new week, the Police Complaint Authority, retired Justice Ramlal, the chair, would be in a position to present their findings and investigation based on investigation to the DPP. I'm urging the residents who are on the road to please stick to the facts. Do not be misled by any social media posting or any information that is not verified. For example, what triggered this is a news item that the police who are implicated in this were released. That very news agency I've seen now has apologized for that misleading release. They have apologized for putting the wrong information out there, as this is far from the truth. I've been advised that not only is that police in custody, but there is a second police in custody who is assisting with the investigation. We must allow the system and the institution to work and complete their responsibility. This is independent. This is an independent process, and I'm assured by the chairman who have advised me that very early in the new week, he's hoping that by Monday, he'll be in a position to present his report to the DPP. I'm asking residents to please go home, to please clear the roadways, and to please allow the system to work. All of us want justice. All of us want fairness. But we cannot base our action on misleading information. A direct statement was made that we will kill the president. There was no condemnation by the one who was doing the live at that moment. This is also unacceptable. This is unacceptable in a democratic society. But I want to assure all the stakeholders that that is a separate issue. And that issue must also be subject to the investigation by the Guyana Police Force. My dear Guyanese brothers and sisters, as your president, I'm asking you, do not be misled, do not be used. I understand the hurt, but let the system work. Let us await the outcome of the system, and let us not get emotional and act out of turn based on reports that are not grounded in the truth and facts.
Meanwhile, several vendors of the Monrepo Market, East Coast Demerara, are now counting millions of dollars in losses after looters earlier today destroyed their stalls and vehicles while claiming to be protesting for justice for 23-year-old QUINDON BACCHUS, who was shot and killed by police on June 10. Amar Prasad tells us more.
A number of vendors, after the chaotic wave of destruction had passed, were left in frustration and shocked by what had happened. When the evening news arrived on the scene, some vendors were trying to regroup, while others sat in disbelief, unable to determine how to move forward. Speaking with this newscast, one vendor recalled that earlier in the day, a gang of protesters rushed into the market armed with sticks, woods, metals, and irons and began to break down stalls, set vehicles on fire, and steal goods. The vendors, she noted, had to run for their lives. Another vendor, Lekram Lalchan, describes the situation as unfair.
All the island and things is expensive. All the flour, everything, sugar, everything in there. Now my wife home, she ball and she showed because she's studying what happened to she two daughters, her husband, and she business. It's not easy. 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, that's the sacrifice we're doing for just make an earning out there. And today we should face this? No, we ain't supposed to face this. This is not right.
Lalchan recalled the struggles the vendors have been experiencing since they were forced to relocate to facilitate construction works at the market.
They come and put you out from the market. They're working like a slut from the market. That we punishing out there. When we go in and ask the contractor them what going on with his place, the contractor talking that they're taking blows, that them not got enough money for complete the market. Why is it the corruption they're telling me? When sun hot, the foreman telling me, personally, I ask them, why y'all pushing your body to work? There's a man sun hot that they are working the night. When the clock strike 4:35, them don't go away, lock up and everything left like that. The market is moving.
Another vendor related that she had only restocked her stall on Monday.
Everything, rice, oil, baby jar, oil, everything. So we got to try to see the help me with plan. Can't bear this, it's too much. It's very too much. Oh yes, we start. No, the kid didn't come and stand up and see these people that carry all the goods. Everything. One of them have a can just dry. And I had to leave stand and just run. When you see them coming. They come with cutlass, they come with knife, they never want to come with. They go from murder to body, they come and say, okay, take what you want and leave wherever, and the brown come and destroy me.
Several goods vehicles were destroyed by fire. One of them was said to be a newly purchased bus. It is estimated that millions of dollars were lost as a result of the protests. For the evening news, Amar Prasad.
Meanwhile, President Ali met with aggrieved vendors of the Monrepo Market, whom he assured that those who are responsible for the massive destruction to their livelihoods would be brought to justice. He also assured that vendors would be fully compensated for their losses. Here's a look.
What was done is totally wrong. And all those who are responsible for doing it must be brought to justice. They must face the full consequence of the law. And not only those who did it, but those who instigated it. Because when you plan a protest, it is your responsibility to keep that protest within the limits of the law. And I've made it very, very clear that this nonsense has to stop. And I've made it clear that all those who participated in the lawlessness, their images, their photographs, their videos, they must be brought to justice. Everyone has a right in a democracy to let their voices be heard. But no one has the right to loot, no one has the right to thief or to beat anyone. None. All those who things were stolen from, and the police is also taking statements. Because I want to show you that you will be fully compensated. You will be fully compensated. But more importantly, those who cause the harm must and will be brought to justice. That is also important. As of now, all of us have a responsibility to restore calm, to restore order, and to ensure that we continue to bring normalcy.
Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Traveling soon? Then come into John Lewis Styles on Waterloo Street and let's help you choose the right set of luggage. You can choose to buy 3-piece luggage sets, or separate pieces, but the sets are always a better deal. Either available in soft poly, or ABS hard side material, with 4-wheeled spinners, and in many colors too. Also available are carry-on luggage, computer bags, duffel bags, backpacks, travel pillows, blankets and lots more to make your trip enjoyable. John Lewis Styles.
Your child needs nutrients every day. Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder.
This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Mental development depends on various factors such as stimulation and adequate nutrition. Commercial cow's milk does not contain DHA but contains calcium and other nutrients.
It happens. Your septic tank is full. All the waste from your toilet goes into your septic tank through the sewage line. When your tank is full, the two most common indicators are an overflowing tank and an overflowing toilet. It is recommended that Sevon's Waste Management empty your septic tank every 2 to 3 years to avoid any embarrassment. And before you can say, shh, it's gone. Call Sevon's Waste Management today at 218-1455 or 218-1156.
Your child needs nutrients every day. Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder.
This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Mental development depends on various factors such as stimulation and adequate nutrition. Commercial cow's milk does not contain DHA but contains calcium and other nutrients.
Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit Guyana in March 2020, the country has seen 67,221 cases of the novel coronavirus, 107 of which were recorded within the last 24 hours. There are currently 29 persons in the hospitals, 5 in the ICU, 795 in institutional isolation, and 10 in institutional quarantine. Recovery stand at 65,141, while the death toll is 1,251. By June 2023, the restoration works currently ongoing at the dilapidated City Hall building would be completed and City Hall would be returned to its former glory. REPOS tells us more.
Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain shared this position during Tuesday's press conference. Last year, the signing of a $780 million contract paved the way for works to commence on the building. It was slated to start in October 2021 with an expected completion time of 18 months.
The restoration is going very well. I believe that building is scheduled to finish May-June 2023. However, so far, so good.
Regarding the construction of an administrative building to house employees, the mayor indicated that there were some miscalculations in the bill of quantities, which will have to be ironed out.
The entire bill of quantities that the city engineer outlined it in this contract most of it is inaccurate. So it's something that I don't have knowledge on, but these are the advice I'm receiving. Both contractors and city engineer department both got faults. Because one time I heard the contractor, he used out the money, maybe a few $1,000,000, and we paid, I believe we paid unmeasured work. So those things he has to rectify it, and then we move forward. But the bill of quantities, the contractor complained on numerous times that the bill of quantities that within this contract is not matching the building.
The government of Guyana had said it was taking the lead role in the restoration of the 138-year-old City Hall building. The admin building was initially touted to house staffers after relocation from the City Hall structure to facilitate these works. Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Trinidadian company Rams Logistics, which had alleged that they were being wrongly denied a local content certificate and had complained of dark forces in Guyana, have since retreated from their stance after a letter was sent to them by the local content secretariat detailing all the documents the company have still not submitted to qualify for the certificate. Amar Prasad has the details.
The letter under the hand of Local Content Secretariat Director Martin Portab reveals that Rams Logistics is still to submit an amendment article of incorporation or corresponding resolution, providing that a Guyanese holds 51% beneficial ownership of the company. It is also yet to submit signed, filed, and certified company resolutions or evidence of shares transfer to Deepak Lal, the Guyanese national that Rams claimed they sold 51% shares to. Their most recent annual return, which would have shown relevant information pertaining to this, was also not submitted. It was also explained that Rams Logistics only submitted a draft of an unsigned financial statement which still did not set out the total number of shares issued and who were allocated those shares. Rams Logistics submitted a certified notice of change of directors. The initial submission contained information showing that only 40% of the board of directors were Guyanese. It was further noted that one Deepak Lal was not on that list of directors at that time. Rams Logistics resubmitted another notice of change of directors which included Deepak Lal to increase the initial 40% of Guyanese nationals to 60%, with 3 Guyanese nationals and 2 non-Guyanese nationals sitting in the executive management of Rams Logistics. According to the Local Content Act, for a company to be considered a Guyanese company, Guyanese must own 51% voting rights and shares in the company. Further, Guyanese must hold 75% executive and senior management positions and at least 90% of non-managerial and other positions as detailed in Section 2 of the Act. According to Portab, the information submitted by the company fails to meet the 75% threshold. All of the above, according to Portab, led to Rams' application for the certificate being refused. In the letter, Rams was also warned about submitting misleading information. Summary conviction for such an offense under the Local Content Act carries a $10 million fine. Not long after the letter surfaced, Rams released a brief statement in which they acknowledged that the request for information by the Local Content Secretariat was a reasonable one they were making efforts to comply with. Rams stated that the letter included reasonable documentation requests that its lawyers are already working on submitting. Rams said, I quote, "We look forward to working together to promptly resolve this situation. Rams Logistics Guyana is committed to meeting all reasonable and lawful demands of the Secretariat." End quote. During a press conference on Wednesday, Rams Logistics Guyana Chief Executive Officer Sean Ramprasad had claimed that it followed all the requisite guidelines, but government denied its local content certificate via automated email without any explanation. For the Evening News, Amar Prasad.
4 Caribbean countries will soon utilize Guyana's methods in treating HIV/AIDS through a South-South Knowledge Exchange event, a partnership between the Ministry of Health and Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS. Shane Marks tells us more.
One way of doing that is obviously to do PrEP. So we, maybe about 2 years ago, we were only doing PrEP for discordant couples, and now we have changed that to make sure that PrEP is available to everybody. Anybody who feel that they're at risk can come into one of our clinics, and we go through the basic evaluation requirements, And once they meet that, then obviously we be able to offer them PrEP.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony outlined Guyana's method in identifying and treating patients living with HIV/AIDS while addressing the event. Dr. Frank Anthony explained that the ministry is working on making self-testing available across Guyana.
We have started doing self-testing. It is not as comprehensive as we like it to be, but we have started, and we have some amount of experience with self-testing. And hopefully we'll be able to increase the coverage as we go. So in each of these 10 administrative regions, we want to make sure that these services are available.
The Health Minister further noted that Guyana has a robust treatment and care program and that the ministry is aware of new medications to treat persons living with HIV/AIDS.
In terms of treatment and care, we have, I think, a fairly robust program. We are also working to look at the various medications that we use and perhaps to revise the guidelines to reflect newer ways of treatment. We're also cognizant that in terms of PrEP, there are new medications that are becoming available. So rather than use the Truvada-based regimens, that you can also have injectables that are now coming on the market. And we are in the process of exploring some of those because we think the efficacy can be good.
It's a 3-day event which will focus on Guyana's experience in implementing pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, and HIV self-testing, HIV-ST. We'll see Caribbean countries Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica utilizing Guyana's method in treating HIV/AIDS. Shane Marks, The Evening News.
The United States Food and Drug Administration has recently given authorization for the emergency use of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, manufactured for the immunization of children 6 months to 4 years old. Amar Prasad reports.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony said on Monday that the ministry is currently seeking to procure the vaccine for its younger population. Even as Guyana faces some challenges in acquiring vaccines for children, the ministry continues to collaborate with international partners to ensure citizens' receive the important jabs.
We have started a process of trying to access the vaccine for the 6 months to 4 years age group. And in fact, we are right now trying to determine what quantities we'll ask for. So this week we'll put in that order, and hopefully in the next 2 months or so we should be able to get some of these vaccines for the 6 months to 4 years age group.
On June 21, 2022, the Center for Disease Control authorized the rollout of approximately 10 million doses to children in the United States. Dr. Anthony noted that studies have shown that the vaccine is very effective in boosting the immunity of this young population. Meanwhile, the health minister is urging pregnant mothers to get vaccinated, especially in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, as this will enable infants to develop antibodies that can protect them against a deadly virus.
One way of getting them protected is to make sure that the mothers during pregnancy, that they take their vaccines. And it has been shown that if mothers take their vaccine in the 3rd trimester, that they would have, their children would have enough antibodies to protect them over the next 6 months.
The ministry has been vaccinating children from 5 to 11 years old. To date, over 3,000 children have been inoculated with the first dose of the vaccine. For adolescents, 47.9% took the first dose and 35.1% are fully vaccinated. Minister Anthony is appealing to eligible persons to get their booster doses. He noted that more persons are being hospitalized, even those who were vaccinated with the primary vaccine. For the Evening News, Amar Prasad.
Easier accessibility for farmers to transport their produce from the riverine communities along the Essequibo River to Region 3 can be expected with the construction of either a new wharf or road to service them. Find out more in this Rupasina report.
Minister of Public Works Juan Echil engaged residents within the riverine communities of Region 3 on Sunday with the intention of addressing their concerns and setbacks brought on by infrastructure. According to the Public Works Minister, residents were given 1 month to decide on a number of ideas to be considered by the government, including the construction of either a wharf or a road to serve persons. This is especially farmers who have to frequently bring their produce out to the mainland.
Now I have seen what is here. I have looked at what is the alignment of the road. My engineer just told me we could get a 900 meter
connecting to Goshen Road.
Connecting to get out to the Bonasika Creekhead.
Right.
You have also, with the guy who tell you about building at Bonasika Wharf, the Billy Wharf at Bonasika. I'm going to ask that from among yourselves, who are going to be the beneficiaries, name 5 people who's going to work with my engineers, and within 1 month, they have to go through this entire place, review it, and come up with the best option and the best alternative.
The Public Works Minister underscored that building such infrastructure and improving access will ultimately support the 25% by 2025 agenda that President Irfan Ali is leading in the Caribbean to slash the region's food import bill.
We want you to plant more. We want you to produce more. We want your goods to get to the market. But at the same time, we want nobody turning over. We want nobody lose life. And we don't want to waste money. We want to be able to do what is beneficial to all the people.
Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, June 29 at 3 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Wednesday, June 29 at 17 hours 10 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Let's now take a look at the local stock exchange market compliments of GASI. Paul Moti Shepherd may cut as West Indies squads named for T20 internationals and CG United ODIs, and CCQC among others victorious as NSBF preseason comes to an end. Details of these stories in this podcast sponsored by MacCorp coming up on the other side of the break.
The International Building Expo is the only expo of its kind in the Caribbean, fostering homeownership and catapulting the construction sector with innovative and sustainable building practices, creating and advancing linkages among local, regional, and international stakeholders. It's the new frontier for building a One Guyana. The International Building Expo, commencing from July 22 at the Guyana National Stadium. Register now at www.buildingexpo.gy.
With unlimited games to choose from, you can be a winner with Superbet. Choose from our virtual sports, live betting, sports betting, live roulette, and much, much more. Place your bets at www.superbet.gy or visit any one of our agents. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 18 and over.
We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rijnveld.
Your child needs nutrients every day. Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder.
This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Mental development depends on various factors such as stimulation and adequate nutrition. Commercial cow's milk does not contain DHA but contains calcium and other nutrients.
Get the right seal right now from Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., your immediate SKF sealing solutions. The SKF Seal Jet Machine is capable of building seals from 5mm to 600mm in diameter in under 5 minutes. With technical support readily available, you can get a customized seal to suit virtually any industrial application, like buffer, rod, wiper, and piston seals. SKF Seal Jet Machine, now at Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc.